I've heard this nasty word thrown around in recent years, deregulation for our industry. I'm not going to steer away from the tough conversation. There's a lot of barbers, a lot of very good barbers, but a lot of them aren't licensed. They haven't gone to school. We've been concerned about them servicing the client. We've been concerned about the conditions of these barbershops and the techniques that these barbers are using and safety for the consumer. But now it seems like this story is playing out that it's starting to be to our detriment as professionals.
I just want to say this.
Yeah.
If you're an unlicensed barber, then you have no respect for your profession. You want to claim to be a professional. And I just say that's what you're doing. You're claiming to be a professional, right? But what are you really giving to your industry? You might be giving to yourself, which is selfish.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But what are you doing for the entire thing? What is your bigger vision? You know, so I don't want to be, personally, I don't want to be just a barber. I want to give more back to my industry and help it grow and help, you know, future barbers to come into play. And you know, everybody always talks about, you know, I can help this barber make this and this and that money, but what is that person really doing? What are you really helping them do? What are you really doing for our industry? If you love it so much, do more for it.
Welcome to the PPIA Impact Podcast, where real stories meet real success. We celebrate the transformative careers of entrepreneurs within the beauty industry. I'm your host, Hassan DeMarco. Together, we'll explore the journey of barbers, cosmetologists, makeup artists, and more who have defied the odds and achieved remarkable success. Get ready to experience the profound impact of their stories. Let's ignite your passion and unleash your potential here on the PPIA Impact Podcast. All right, well, we'd like to welcome you guys to our newest episode of the PPIA Impact. As you know, the PPIA Impact, Pennsylvania Professional Image Alliance, sits down and talks with people who are impactful from our industry. And today, you guys are in for a great episode and a wonderful treat with the world's one and only hair wizard, Dom. Dom, we'd like to welcome you to the show, man.
Thank you.
I hope that intro was grand enough for you.
I feel like it was like too much.
No, not at all, man. It's never too much because honestly, you've been putting your work in, bro. Putting your work in, and we really thank you. We're going to talk about that. If you guys aren't familiar with Dom, I'll give you some quick cliff notes to stay tuned for. Not only is he a member of PPIA, Dom also has worked closely with the state board as well as the national board for barbers. He has a shop, Hair Wizards, that you probably heard about or know about. So this is the man, the myth behind what's going on. And we're going to pick his brain, talk to him, and I'm sure we're going to get some really valuable insight, some input from you. So thanks, man. We appreciate you taking out time to sit with us. So
It's all good. It's a pleasure.
hey, man, welcome to the show. So I like to maybe we could just kind of start with your background, man. How'd you get into barbering? What moved you?
Yeah, man, it just came out of nowhere, to be honest. I don't want to say out of nowhere because I feel like it runs in my blood. My mom owned a salon called Hair Wizards back in '88, so it originated from her. I didn't think I was going to be a barber, obviously. I thought I was going to work construction as I did. I started cutting hair when I was 14. I was working construction at 15, so I thought I was going to be a construction worker. I thought that's what I was going to do. Kind of fell into it as I worked construction, cutting hair on the side, worked at Wendy's, cutting hair in the break room. Don't tell nobody that because, you know, that's unsanitary stuff that we was doing. But yeah, it was just like barbering was always there for me. And by the age of 20, after leaving construction, because I was still working construction, 7 days a week, I would cut supervisors on the side, do house calls, do all these things.
You couldn't shake that barbering thing, huh?
Nah, it just kept coming. So the problem was that I got laid off a few times. So I used to do like flooring, I used to do masonry work, all those things. I got laid off, went back in, started doing jobs on my own for the company that I was working at. And I asked them for a $1 raise because I was using my own car and doing my own jobs.
Yeah.
And they told me that after working with them 3 years, 7 days a week, they said, we're going to have to put you on a probation.
Because you asked for $1.
Because I asked for a $1 raise.
Wow.
And I was only getting paid $11 an hour.
Yeah, that was your Jerry Maguire moment.
Right.
Yeah, that was
So I
it.
said, okay, I'm out. So I left, I started building railroad tracks. So I learned how to build railroad tracks from scratch. Got laid off of that one. And then at that point, I was just like, you know what? Everybody feels like they are in control of my money. And I wanted to be in control. So I said, I'm going to jump into the barbershop full time. I was probably just hitting 20 or 20 years old. And from there on, I was just like, from the first week, I said, this is it.
Yep. No layoffs,
I'm not doing anything else. This is it.
Barbershop, the art industry, there is no layoffs.
Nah, yeah. Not. So, I mean, I just kept on going from there and really just set my mind to what I wanted to do. What I liked in the barber industry was there was room to grow. Yeah. You know, and I felt like I didn't have that working construction or anything. And once I started building those goals and like seeing that actual vision, I was like, I'm all in.
Yeah, man. I love that, man. So your mom had a salon called Hair Wizards. So that's where it comes from.
Yeah. So she's the founder.
Yeah.
And I always like put her out there because, you know, I did Hair Wizards for her.
Yeah. I used to have a business partner by the name of Lee. And it's so funny. One day somebody came into the shop and they were just super demanding. This guy had like, you know how guys' hair is thinning and it doesn't work anymore. Yeah. He's like, look, man, I'm not a hair wizard. You know, and it was like, it's hilarious. I mean, we laughed about that for years, but when I saw your shop years and years ago by the name of Hair Wizards, I was like, yo, that's pretty dope. I like that. But yeah, so a nod to your mom, throwback to the 80s. Like, man, it's in your DNA.
Yeah,
that's in your DNA.
That's how I feel, definitely. And I got all my brothers inside the barbershop. I got a lot of family, cousins and everything inside the barbershop. And even family in Florida from my mom's side that's barbers and cosmetologists. So I really feel like it's in our blood. Yeah. You know, so.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I'm sure tons and tons of people are happy that you didn't stay on the railroad track or as Mason.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, definitely, man. Because this is a great industry. A lot of people don't know that. Sometimes our industry doesn't really get the recognition that it deserves as professionals. And wonderful industry. You can take care of your family and provide an awesome living. But I think something that we know that many people don't know about our industry is that we make some great relationships with people.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Has that been your experience over the years?
Yeah, I'll tell anybody, like, if you need anything, why don't you ask your barber first?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because we meet people every single day, whether it's doctors. I mean, I had times that I had to call one of my friends that was a doctor or a nurse or something like that to say, like, hey, this is what I'm going through. You know, do you have any advice or anything? And I had those moments, you know, real estate agents. I mean, like you name it, like mechanics. You know what I mean? Everybody got some car trouble every now and then, right? So it's like, it doesn't matter like who it is. I feel like your barber always has like some type of resource.
Yeah, man. I've gone on record a few times. I don't mind sharing it again. Like, I refer to like what we do as barbers. Like, I like to think of myself as like a concierge. Okay. Like, if you need something, trust me, I have the resources. Right. I know someone that does it. I can at least set you on a path to find out what you're looking for. And the reason why is because I think of the barber industry, like the barber shop, as a watering hole. And what I mean is, if you've seen like the Serengeti or like Africa, where, you know, especially that time of year when water, it goes into the dry season, it's like no matter what animal it is, everybody needs water.
Right.
So at the same pool with the hippos and the crocodiles, you're going to find the cheetahs. Like, and I think that's what the barbershop is. You get these people from all kinds of walks of life. They're from everywhere. They're lawyers, doctors, accountants, mechanics, cement masons, you know, professors. Like, it doesn't matter. Everybody needs to look good. Everyone wants to be groomed. Absolutely. And they come and sit in our chair and they give us gems for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, or an hour. And it's like, that's the best thing about our industry. And I do love that. Yeah, man.
Same here. Definitely.
Yeah. All day. So, hey, so you, how long have you been at your location, Hair Wizards? How long has it been in operation?
My first location, so I had like a 3-chair barbershop when I first started out, when I left the barbershop I was at. And that was for 1.5 years, and we quickly outgrew that. And then we opened up the first Hair Wizards location. And that has been 11 since 2013. So it's been 11 years now.
Yeah. And that's in Northeast Philadelphia, right?
So all of our barbershops are based out of Northeast. We got 3 locations.
You got 3 active locations? Yeah. Oh, man, that's amazing. He got 3 shops, y'all. You get into the paper. No, that's great, man. So you got 3 shops.
Yeah.
All located in the Northeast. Your the locations are. Would you mind sharing with us where people can find you?
So we have one in Mayfair section, we have one in Rawhurst, and we have one near Franklin Mills area.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So Northeast Philadelphia, that's a really diverse area too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Northeast has like all nationalities represented.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in a diverse area, 3 shops. That's great. How long have you been barbering? Because you said that shop was 9 years ago that you set up.
So it's been 11 years now that I had Hair Wizards, the first location. I'm 38 now. I took it serious when I was 20. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? 18 years now that's been like strict barbering, nothing else. That's all I've been doing. So it's been 18 years straight.
Yo, that is great, man. Yeah. Much success to you, man. That's amazing. To have 3 locations going in 18 years. You talk about ceilings. It's like
It wasn't easy.
yeah. Oh, come on, man. I know you just put the sign up and people just walked in, right?
Shit.
That's how it goes.
I wish.
Yeah, sometimes people think that, and that's why it's great to have a podcast like this and to have you on this podcast, because sometimes you just see like the Instagram post or the Facebook page, or you ride past the shop and the lights are on and they're like, oh man, Dom got all the answers. That's why I work for him.
Yeah, but
the Red Sea just parted and it was just easy. Is that the case?
nah. I mean, there's a lot of trials, a lot of things. So I took it amongst myself. Like, even when I hired barbers, I had like to provide them a certain amount, right? So my goal was, if I'm providing a barber, as soon as I hire them, $500 a week, let's just say $500 a week was my minimum. And then, if I'm doing that myself, then I'm helping a barber get a little further in their career. Now, it really comes down to the barber if they're retaining clients also. Yes. But if I could help them retain clients also, then, we could get this process going. First thing I put in is customer convenience. If you don't have customer convenience, you're not going to retain clients. Mm-hmm. And then since I took that as my responsibility to provide $500 a week for, let's say, 8 to 10 barbers that I had inside my shop, there was a lot of advertising that had to go on. Yes. So I took it amongst myself, and some of my barbers would sometimes join me, but I would go door to door, like literally walk door to door during the middle of summer, hot as hell. Yeah. And we sweating, and we just put in flyers in each mailbox or whatever it is, going to schools, doing a lot of community events, which I still do to this day, and then, making sure that my barbers was well off. I want to say the first 5 years was like really hard with that. And then little by little, I was just join people's events and still keep our name going. Yeah. But the work in the beginning was definitely tough.
Yeah. Look, man, y'all. So we're gonna have to back up, and if you guys are listening, take out your iPhone, take some notes. Dom's giving away some gems early on in the podcast. So, am I correct in hearing that you were willing to make an investment into each barber that started at your location?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Still try to do it to this day.
Mm-hmm. You had a minimum threshold that you wanted your guys to meet. And that's great, because you do have to put time in, especially in a new location. You're a new barber, you're walking in, you might not be busy. But you had a goal. You wanted those guys to walk out making at least a minimum
with no clientele.
$500.
With no clientele.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was a challenge, right? Because if I'm saying $500 and, maybe that's like 20 people a week. Mm-hmm. So I got to make sure I'm bringing 100 or more, 200 people a week into my place.
Yeah.
And that's a big, big responsibility. But I felt like if I really cared about my people and I want to see them successful, and I care about my business and I want to see it successful, then I'm going to take that sacrifice.
I love that. So, hey, all right. So to get 3 shops, guys, you listening? You need to invest in your staff. All right.
Absolutely.
I'm sure there was a financial investment. That's what we talked about. Mm-hmm. But it looks like there was also a time investment for you too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And that's what that was. Going door to door, business to business, meeting people, promoting your business.
Yeah, I mean, I say the things that you don't want to do is the things that you should do the most. So nobody wants to take that extra person at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to come in early. Nobody wants to maintenance the shop. Nobody wants to on their off days hand out flyers or edit pictures or do videos or when you're home sitting on your couch. So those things that you don't want to do are the things that you should do the most.
Man.
And that's where you see real growth within your shop or your business.
Nice. So, hey, listen, if you're taking notes, I counted 3 things you should have wrote down and try to implement in your business. That's great. And can we ask, you mind if we ask how many members do you have on your team?
Currently?
Yeah.
Let me see. I got 9 in one location, 7 in one location, and 7 in the other location right now. So I don't know, 14,
Yeah, I'm at 18,
20,
17,
23,
yeah.
24, something like that. Not including myself.
Not including yourself.
Not including
so
myself.
You are managing a huge team. And it sounds like they have a great leader who's unselfish and is willing to invest time, money to make sure that they get off. And that's great, man. That is great. We don't see that too often. And sometimes it's not because owners don't want to. It's just a challenge. It's not always easy dealing with all the different personalities and people from different backgrounds.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like coming up in even seeing it in the barber industry, it was like you're kind of on your own, you know. And if I'm on my own, then I'm gonna go through all the struggles. And I felt that way. I felt like I was on my own. So I had to go through all the struggles, and I had to learn off of my mistakes because I really didn't have a mentor. The mentor that I did have passed away, and you know, since that point, I didn't have anybody else to turn to. So I feel like if my barbers have me to turn to, and they know that they could count on me, give them good advice, great advice if I can, you know, just what worked for me, because I can only speak on my behalf. But I've been through a lot of struggles, you know. So if they have me, then at least I could guide them in the right path.
Yeah, man. And that is a wonderful thing to do. We really appreciate that. I'm sure your team does. And you're really an asset to the community and to your team, but also to the industry, you know. And I know that there's many people who do know you. I know that you're not shy about assisting and helping people and providing advice. I've heard that over the years. You know Dom? And I'm like, yeah, I know Dom. And it's like, oh, well, Dom told me. I'm like, that's all right. So you are who you project yourself to be. And that's great to know that there's people in our industry who are unselfish and they're willing to put time and effort into helping others. I also know that that's kind of led you on a very unique journey.
Yeah.
You know, so you what you've done there at your business, Hair Wizards, has now also kind of been amplified outside of Hair Wizards.
Yeah.
So what am I talking about? Because I'm teasing it. What are you involved with, and what have you been involved with over the years?
Oh man, so it started out me. I don't know, man. So when I first started my barbershop, there was a lot of people that came to me without licenses, right? So I started doing apprenticeship programs. Then I started helping the barbers within my shop get their license. In order for me to do that, then I needed to learn a little bit more about the requirements. Got my teacher's license, and once I got my teacher's license, I was able to visit different schools, different places, just teaching. And then I started my state board prep courses. So then I was helping barbers outside of my barbershop get their license. And then after that, I got a call. I was 30 years old, and I got a call to be on the state board.
Wow.
So
wait, the state board of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. So the Barbering State Board of Pennsylvania. And I was like, sure, but I didn't expect that. You know what I mean? I didn't expect to be on the state board at the age of 30. I was the youngest person. I was the only Puerto Rican on the board, you know? So I'm like, okay, what am I doing here? So it took a little bit to get kind of used to the rhythm of the way it worked. But within that first year, I became vice president.
Wow.
Within the second year, I became president, and I held that chair until I actually, my term ended. You know, within that time, I also became, you know, that's where the national education became. And then I just kept on learning from my peers and surrounding myself around other teachers, other state board members, all these things. And I just like soaking it all in. I was just soaking it all in. But it helped me because now I know exactly what the requirements are. I can help you fill out those applications. I know what to study. I came up with my own study guide for the state board exam. You know, rather than going through the 750-page Milady's textbook, now I got a whatever page. I'm not going to say how many page, but I got whatever page study guide now that I call like the Dom's cheat sheet, that'll help you pass your exam for Pennsylvania, so all these things, and I still do to this day, because it's just building me up to, when I do open up my official school, and, I still have a lot of plans. So, but I just want to soak in as much as I can, so that way when I make this move, I'm going to make it right.
Yeah, that's major, Dom. Appreciate that, man. Thanks for putting that work in. So many people have benefited from it, and it's been your sacrifice. And hey, if I could help you along the way, I'm willing to help you. I know there's many people. I know you're very well connected with a number of ones in the industry. Probably no bigger connection for you than PPIA. Which is why you're here, as a member of PPIA. But you spoke about the Pennsylvania State Board, but something national too. You said that really quickly. What was that?
So I'm on the, it's called NABBA. It's the National Barbers Association of America. And what they do is they bring all the state boards in our country. We have about 26 member states that they join. They're a member of our organization. We bring all the states together. Once we bring that together, then we talk about different things that's going on within their states, as far as regulations, law changes, all those things, deregulation, a whole bunch of stuff, right? We just come together and just talk about, like, what can we do differently?
Yeah.
There's a lot of education that goes involved in that too, because we have miladies that come out, they give us education. We have Pivot Point that comes out. We have a whole bunch of different educators that come out and help us become better teachers, better board members, and really like kind of knowing what our power is as a board member also, right?
Yeah.
Every state is different. So I just want to say that, like, every single state is different. And a lot of people wonder why they can't transfer from license from here to there or anything like that. Just understand that every single state is different. I know here in Pennsylvania, one of the things that we was able to do is we talk about reciprocity.
Yes.
So reciprocity, bringing your license into the state, is a lot easier than it is going out now.
Yeah. Okay.
To other people's states, because the governor approved that we was able to take other people's licenses with a certain amount of hours, and we agreed to the amount of hours, the experience, and all those things on how to transfer your license over here. So it's a lot easier to come into Pennsylvania now.
Nice. And you were a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Nice. I've employed some barbers coming in from out of state. So thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Helped us get to the money.
Yeah. I mean, just talk about growth, what I mean? And really just trying to be able to provide work for people. And, that license means everything for real at the end of the day. That means everything.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that, what we just talked about, what you just went into, very impactful. And I kind of want to back up a little bit just to speak about that, because I got a bone to pick. All right, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm sorry, Dom.
That's cool.
And listen, I hope I don't, wrestle up too much of an issue. But all right, so for example, case in point. So I've been a licensed barber in Pennsylvania since 1995.
Okay.
And my perspective is that I haven't seen a lot of influence from the state other than regulation, other than them coming to my shop and making sure that we're operating the right way. However, as an educator, I've educated nationally and internationally, and I'll go into certain states, and they have different set of requirements. I've been to Ohio, where they have a certain amount of credited hours that you need to make sure that you go back to school or go back to classes, and you keep this reoccurring education going to keep your license valid. And I said, man, that's great. We need a lot more of that, because since graduating school, I haven't been required to do anything. Now, I've taken it upon myself to take classes, uncountable classes, over the last 30 years. But it'd be nice to see some encouragement in that way, some provisions made. Why is nothing like that happening here?
It's hard. I want to say that, like, it's very hard for the state, because you got to think, like, this comes from the governor's office. This comes from, the senators, the legislative, all those things. So in order for you to implement anything like that, it has to go through a thorough process that takes about 18 months to do, first of all. And it could be shot down after that 18 months, right? The state board, I want to say Pennsylvania, right? Pennsylvania State Board is a regulatory board we deal with laws, we deal with fines, we deal with licenses, we deal with inspections, we deal with all those things, right? Testing. But when it comes to changing something, we're not allowed to do.
Okay.
It has to go through everybody else, senators, everything. It has to go through all those things in order for it to make a change. But it has to start, like me sitting on the board, it can't come from me either. It has to come from somebody outside of the board that reaches, let's say you go over to your senator, you want to write up a bill. Then you got to follow through the process of making that bill pass through. But it's not just us sitting on the board. We're a regulatory board. The only thing our job is to follow the laws.
Okay.
That's our job.
That's your job.
Follow the laws.
All right.
And,
well,
you know,
okay.
Yeah,
man. All right.
tough.
I guess we'll let you off the hook.
So and we're not even allowed to like do like trade shows. We can't set up a booth at a trade show.
That's interesting, man. Because I've never seen. The state is not at a trade show.
Yeah. So that's why me being on the state board was very important because now I'm a representative. Even though I'm Dominic, Hair Wizard, you know, all this stuff, but I'm now a representative. So if you did have any questions, because I never met anybody on my state board.
Yeah.
You know?
Same. I haven't in 30 years.
But now that I was a part of it and I'm a part of the community and I'm sitting here as your peer, you have me to ask.
That's different.
You know, and now I was able to give out a lot more information on what was going on and what changes to see and all those things. And then a little bit more understanding. But yeah, I just want to say every state is different. And we could pick and choose really, because we could talk about Texas or we could talk about New York. We could talk about Florida on how their regulations are nowhere near ours.
Okay.
And if you lived in one of those states, you'll be highly disappointed.
So in other words, be appreciative that I got what I got. Okay. All right.
But yeah, it's pretty much like you're on your own in some of those places. And I feel like our education kind of like met the middle requirements.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of states out here that have 1,800 hours, 2,200 hours, you know, and then you might be like, oh, that's too much for me to go to schooling. Well, other people might say, oh, you got too little. You know what I mean? So it's all about perspective in that sense. But yeah, we're kind of like right in the middle. I mean, from me being on the national boards now, I can see where Pennsylvania lands and we're neutral.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard this nasty word thrown around in recent years, deregulation for our industry. It feels, being a part of this industry, it feels that we're being disrespected or that we're unappreciated. Yeah. And I say that because if I'm correct in assuming the Pennsylvania State Board governs a number of practices, everything from a doctor, a nurse, a lawyer, if you are a realtor. Stuff, And when it comes to our industry, cosmetology and barbering, they're actually considering releasing us or not having the regulations apply to us, deregulating us. And I know that it's not just a discussion in Pennsylvania, but it's also a discussion nationally. Yeah. And to me, it's like, oh, wow, you guys have no more respect for the service.
So I want to say strength are in numbers. How many barbers personally that you know that don't have their license?
Yeah, talk about it.
You know what I mean?
Let's talk about it, bro.
I'm talking about cosmetology. It's 10-1 with barbering.
Yeah.
And we know we got a lot of barbers out here. Yeah. So if we're not showing our strength in numbers and we have no voice.
Yeah. So I'm not going to steer away from the tough conversations. So I know that's my experience in this city, in Philadelphia, and this is only one county. There's a lot of barbers, a lot of very good barbers, but a lot of them aren't licensed. They haven't gone to school. We've been concerned about them servicing the client. We've been concerned about the conditions of these barbershops and the techniques that these barbers are using and safety for the consumer. But now it seems like this story is playing out that it's starting to be to our detriment as professionals. Right. To have people who are quote unquote barbers
I just want to say this. Yeah. If you're an unlicensed barber, then you have no respect for your profession. You know what I mean? Like, because like us as professionals, you want to claim to be a professional. And I just say that's what you're doing. You're claiming to be a professional. Yes. Right? But what are you really giving to your industry? You might be giving to yourself, which is selfish. Yes. You know what I mean? But what are you doing for the entire thing? What is your bigger vision? You know, so I don't want to be just a barber. Just a barber. You know, people say just a barber.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be that guy. I want to give more back to my industry and help it grow and help, you know, future barbers to come into play. And you know, everybody always talks about, you know, I can help this barber make this and that money, but what is that person really doing? What are you really helping them do? You know, so I mean, I want to just say, like, everybody needs to just ask themselves that. What are you really doing for our industry? If you love it so much, do more for it. And I feel like it's just as simple as that.
Yeah, and invest in it. There's no excuse. There's a number of schools. I know a number of owners. We have Premier Barber Institute.
There's plenty of ways. You know, we got apprenticeships. We got all these things. You got me.
Yep. You got Dom. You can reach out to.
You got people out there like
me. You got Ryan over at Final Touch.
You know, so
you got there's opportunities out here. I find that people. It's so funny. I think we just came full circle. You were willing not only to invest in yourself, but also invest in your staff. I think for the barber out there who's unlicensed, he's not willing to invest into himself.
Right.
And yeah, it's going to cost something, 1,250 hours. There are creative schools that you can go to that can help you and work around a full-time schedule, and you can still get it part-time licensing. But as two very experienced barbers in this industry, I think sitting here, we got like 50 years of experience.
Yeah.
I don't know how many businesses we've run together collectively, but this is some great advice. If you're listening in and you're not a licensed barber, we're not trying to beat you up right now, but we also want you to understand that you have a role to play. And It's not about just taking off the table. You got to set the table up for the next person too.
Yeah, because what's separating you at the end of everything? What separates the person that's cutting in their house, you know, studio, whatever the case is, and no judgment at all, you know?
Yeah.
But what separates that person from the person that's, you know, barber, licensed barber and everything, and really is just that piece of paper, right? Because most people just say, oh, it's just that piece of paper.
Yeah.
But there is pride in that piece of paper. You know, there's, you know, you're proud of that. You know, that's an accomplishment. And I think that accomplishments just don't come with what you're receiving. You know, we had to give time. We had to give everything, literally, like just our knowledge, our, you know what I mean, just to everything that's within this industry, you know. And I'm just like brainstorming at the same time as I'm talking, because it's a lot of things, that's a lot of sacrifices that we give, you know, in order for us to go to school or get our license. You know, it's time, it's money, it's family time, you know what I mean? It's a lot of things that we give up in order for us to make this happen. And then when you see somebody that's coming into our industry that isn't treating it with that same type of respect, for me, I'm like, man, just get out of my industry already, because you're making us look bad.
Yeah, because that's what happens in the other industries. So that state board of professional occupational careers, when you find that somebody's practicing as a doctor and they're not a doctor, it makes the headlines, right? They're doing veneers and they're not licensed to do veneers, or BBLs and they're not licensed to do that. Like these are things that is truly frowned on in the industry. Their industries would never accept it. And I think that we've compromised for a really, really long time. But now it's starting to affect us. If they're talking about deregulating,
people that actually put in the work.
Yeah. It's, they're saying that if they deregulate, they're saying that the dues that I paid are no longer receivable. Like, it's like, oh, so what, you went to school all these years ago? It doesn't even matter.
This is a hard thing for me to say, but if we are deregulated, you're just a local drug dealer.
You're just a hustler.
Like there is no respect towards our craft and our profession. So we all got a past, right? We all did something and, you know, put us in some bad places. And I know I got a couple of barbers with me, even myself, that been in, you know, hard places. Barbering really took me out of that, you know, and provided something for me, for my family, for my peers. And, you know, I just think that, again, deregulation could ruin us and all that stuff that we sacrifice for.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's heavy, but it has to be talked about. We have to discuss it. I know I went through what I'll call maybe like an identity crisis.
I
a
can
while back.
understand that.
Yeah, I remember when filling out applications, like buying a home, or when I had to tell people what I did, I was ashamed to say barber because I thought that people would stereotype me and say, "Oh, well, you're the guy that has a place where people sell drugs in the front and gamble in the back, and you are unprofessional. You don't know how to show up to work on time, and you." When I'm like, no. So I went through this thing where I started calling myself a stylist, a cosmetologist, because I thought that they were better, at least a little bit more respect. Or they say, "What do you own?" I would be on a cruise and be like, "Well, I own a salon," because I wanted people just to feel differently. I was afraid that they would, again, stereotype me. And most recently, I'm going through the phase of calling myself like a professional grooming consultant or a grooming consultant. Like, what do you do? Well, I'm a professional, stylist, and I groom men and I help. And it's this elaborate explanation just to say I'm a barber. But that's why, because I don't really want to be associated with people who are not holding themselves to a standard that we could be proud of.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way too. I feel like a lot of barbers out here kind of gave us a bad name, just because of carelessness.
Yeah.
But I also feel like we have to be that change.
Yeah.
So I want people to look at us differently.
Yeah.
And when I see a parent bring their 16-year-old kid to me and say, "My son is interested in barbering, and how can, what can we do, or how can you help?" And I'm over here like, damn, I'm doing something right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like when I see a parent bring their kid,
that's
I think
confirmation.
that's like, that's telling me that I'm changing that person's point of view, or maybe I have changed that person's point of view, or people around me.
Yeah.
And I think that one impact at a time means the most.
Yeah. So this is a heavy conversation. Don't go telling everybody that Haas and Dom was like, y'all listen, we love y'all. We love you. It's just that we love the industry
Look,
better.
I got my license as an apprentice.
Yeah.
So I was one of those barbers that was working without a license. You know what I mean? Like, I'm no better than anybody else, but at the same time, I just knew that in order for me to truly grow, if I wanted to open up a barbershop and not look over my shoulder, if I wanted to make moves without looking over my shoulder and worried about the person coming in or trying to snatch it underneath me, that I worked so hard to build my clientele and did all those things, well, then I got to get this paper.
Yeah.
And excuse my language, but there ain't no bitching about it. I got to get it done. So, I just feel that way. If you really want it, you're going to take the sacrifices and you're going to get it done.
Yep. It's nothing wrong with that either. So I love the fact that you did that, man. Love that. And keep impacting people the way that you are. I know that one way that you've been truly beneficial, again, in sharing, because of the theme, it seems like you just shared from the very beginning. Now, you're also a part of PPIA. And I understand that PPIA even offers that. They even offer apprenticeships. They have programs, and they're encouraging people to, hey, you don't have to be out there having a hardship. If you want to learn, we have resources for you. What's been your experience with PPIA, and how has it impacted you personally?
So I was there in the beginning when PPIA first organized, and I was a part of that personally, just to see, like, during COVID. I think it was really like during COVID, around that time where everything started coming together and we needed to organize, and we didn't really have an organization other than the state board. But I'm going to share this with you.
Okay.
At the time, we didn't have enough members on our state board to even have a meeting about what was going on within our state. So PPIA came and it was like, you know what? We're going to reach out to these people because the state board couldn't. Our board members couldn't. So they came and I was a part of that. Okay. Even I wasn't able to have a meeting. I knew who to reach out to and stuff like that, but I felt like I didn't have a voice because it was only one voice. But when PPIA came and we said, hey, this is what we're doing. And then they was like, oh, we didn't know you was this organized. And then they looked at us a little differently.
Okay.
And then that's where all the ears started opening, really. And then they took us a little bit more serious. And then, but PPIA, man, they really organized, I want to say, barbering, cosmetology, the beauty industry in general, and said, hey, we're the voice for the voiceless. You know what I mean? Like, we're the ones that can actually speak for you and represent our industry in the right way. They've just been great. You know what I mean? They've been helpful for myself. You know,
Yeah.
they've been helpful for a lot of businesses that's been around, a lot of independent barbers and everything like that, Cosmo, whatever it is. I talked about being selfless. And that's what PPIA is. They selfless.
Yeah, I love PPIA. I love what you just said. We didn't rehearse that, and you know the way you feel about it, it says a lot because somebody with your background and your experience to still see the value of being a part of that organization, it says a lot. So if you could encourage somebody to join PPIA or look into it more seriously, I'm sure you know about some of the inner workings, the background, things, resources that PPIA has. Why would you encourage them, and what would you encourage them to do?
We don't know everything. You know, we always got something to learn. If you're done learning, then I feel like you're just done. You
Yeah,
know,
can't use you anyway.
so I just feel like you always have to learn, and the people that you surround yourself around is going to help you grow. I personally like to surround myself around like-minded individuals, but people that's smarter than me. So that way I could pick their brain. I remember when PPIA, we had a meeting and they brought some of the bankers inside there, you know, when they was talking about taxes, when they was talking about just finances in general, how to set up that business account, LLC, all these things. And man, I was just like, I am not done. You know, like I still have so much to do in order for me to be considered a professional business in general, right? Because I can say I'm a professional now, right? Barber license. Right. But what makes me a professional business?
Right.
You know, having the tools and having the resources as far as that, I felt like it really helped me out a lot. Taxes and all those things made me restructure my business. So that way now everybody has tax forms, you know, because I never wanted to see somebody in a place where a situation like COVID happened and not be able to generate some type of funds or anything like that. So it made me restructure my business in a different way. And that was through the help of PPIA. It's a few things, you know, education wise, you know, it's not just funding, but it's education, you know, and like I said, surround yourself around those good people that's going to help you grow.
Yeah, I'm very humble of you, very humble. But I think you hit the nail on the head in talking about growth. And yeah, you do want to surround yourself with other people who are like-minded or even smarter than you, or just have more resources. You know, I've been a member of PPIA for a couple of years, but the longer I'm with the organization, I'm noticing that there is really just a mosaic of different people from different parts of the industry that all have unique experiences, and there's so much value there. And you were there at the grassroots, so you can testify to that. That's how it started out, and it's proven to be exactly what it is. I know in my short time being involved, there's been classes. They've helped you set up a website for your business, help you structure your business. They have resources if you need accounting, taxes done, legal, lawyer, apprenticeship.
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many resources and a lot that the business offers, but it's sad to know that there are people perhaps even listening in who are what I call in their cave. I've been there before in my career too, where you got your shop, you go in, you got your clients, you make your money, and you're all to yourself.
Yep.
And not knowing that there is an organization here that can help you. And it sounds like from what we've talked about today, that PPIA can be even more helpful than the board that regulates our industry in our city, in our state. Now, listen, I'm not going to, don't say nothing, Dom.
Like, oh, shit.
Don't say anything.
I'm never going to get back on this board.
Listen, Dom does not agree. He does not agree with me. It's okay, Dom. I'm going out on a limb here. I don't want to be on the board.
Listen, we can't do it without the people.
Yeah.
We can't do the state board. Like, if people came to more of those board meetings and joined those meetings and they actually spoke on behalf of the industry, then there will be more change done. But most of the time, we're having meetings and no one from the public is there.
No one's there. Yeah, no one's there.
So it has to come from us. It has to come from the public in order for us to see real change within our industry.
Yeah.
Now, again, PPIA, the organization, they're a voice, right? And they represent our industry. And that's what we need.
Yeah, we need it.
You know what I mean? We need an organization, right?
We need it, which is why we're both on the team. and we're both a part of this organization with our membership, and very, very valuable, something that we can all use. As we're landing this plane in this discussion, Dom, it's been so wonderful to have you on. And we started asking people to take notes, and their page is probably filled up right now, to be honest. But maybe we can just kind of ask you in conclusion, if there's someone that you can advise, maybe yourself, right? You think about the Dom that came into this industry. You know, he got laid off one too many times. He couldn't get the dollar, literally an extra dollar raise, and he was thinking about being a part of this industry. What would you say to that young man? How would you encourage him, and what insight could you give at this phase?
I don't know, man. I went through a lot of struggles. So everything that happened to me made me the man that I am. You know, so I can't really say that I would guide myself differently. You know, maybe I would have been like, yo, hit the gas a little harder or something. But yeah, I've been through a lot of stuff. And just personally, you know, that made me. But yeah, I really can't say, you know, what I would do differently or what type of advice I would give myself. I would just say maybe if I would have done it sooner or something, you know what I mean? Because I always, you know, when you work hard, I feel like you never really reach that, you know, place that you really want to be, and you feel like, I feel like I've wasted so much time, but that just goes into your work ethic, you know. So I don't think I would say too much, because I got to be grateful for what I have.
Yeah, absolutely. You know? But you know, even in saying that, you said a lot, which is you said that you would go even harder, right? and you also said that you know, you wouldn't something to that effect about going harder. But I think that's the point there. I think sometimes we are afraid. We might have good ideas. We might be inspired to do something, but I'm always big on just investing in ourselves. And I think, again, your selflessness is shown up through this podcast all along. And I think that obviously you're here because you...
Well, we got to invest in others, man.
Yeah.
We got to invest in ourselves. We got to invest in others. That's part of the reason why I do the autism classes. That's part of, you know, everything that I do, teaching people how to get their license. You know, and like, again, bro, if I'm doing this for myself, then I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm good.
Thank you, man.
If I'm doing it for myself. But if I'm doing it for others, then there's a lot more work that needs to be done.
Yeah, and that's the mood you're in right now. I feel that. Yeah, we get that energy from you. And, you know, again, we just want to really thank you for the sacrifices that you've made, what you're doing, how you're impacting the neighborhood, the community. And we learned something today, not even just the Pennsylvania State Board, but even the national board. So your reach is very far. You've been putting in a lot of work. There's a lot more to you and to your story. How can people find you? Where can they find you at? Are you on socials? And where would you direct people if they want to contact you?
I've been told that I need to start my own Instagram and my own YouTube and all this stuff. So recently I just started Dominic _ Hair Wizard. I have my Hair Wizards Barbershop, and that shows like a lot of my journey. That Instagram on there, Hair Wizards Barbershop on TikTok. My Facebook is my name, Dominic Nunez. Then I don't know, man. I'm about to start this YouTube probably soon.
Let's go.
People's pushing me, so I'm not really like the social media type guy, but people are pushing me to do it. So I'm like, okay. And then, you know, my website is hairwizardsbarbershop.com.
Okay.
And you'll see like on there you can sign up for education and a whole bunch of other stuff. So
trust me, guys, we've only scratched the surface on Dom. So if you do a deep dive, you're going to find out a lot more. As he mentioned briefly, he even has a class for autism, helping people get certified in our industry for dealing with people with autism. Just so many amazing things about what you do. So we really, again, want to thank you. We're so honored to have you here. We do know a lot of people in our industry, but few have had the reach that you have. So we really want to thank you for that. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. We're humbled by that. And we want to just look for ways to support you even more in the future, man. So keep it up. Keep doing what you're doing.
I will try my best.
All right, guys, this has been our latest episode here with Dominic from Hair Wizards. We'd like to thank him for coming out, and we'd like to thank you for staying connected with us. Remember, you can find our podcast streaming on all platforms. And again, we'd like to thank you for your time spent with the PPIA Impact.